when energy availability starts rewriting corporate timelines. Energy availability is no longer an input checked late in development. Across sectors, it is quietly reshaping project timelines, forcing companies to reorder decisions, approvals, and capital commitments earlier than planned. The shift is not always visible from the outside. Projects still move forward, but schedules stretch, scopes change, and internal milestones are rewritten. Energy constraints are no longer stopping projects outright. They are changing when they happen. The timeline problem. No one planned for. For years, corporate project timelines followed a familiar sequence. Market opportunity came first, site selection followed, design, permitting, financing, and energy procurement filled in behind it. That sequence is breaking. Energy availability, once assumed to be solvable within standard timelines, is increasingly surfacing as a constraint early enough to disrupt schedules, but late enough to be costly. Projects are not failing feasibility reviews. They are missing internal targets, slipping quarters, and requiring reapproval as energy assumptions change. What's new is not the presence of constraints. It's where they appear in the timeline, how schedules are being quietly rewritten. In many organizations, the impact shows up incrementally. A project approved for Q3 delivery shifts to Q1 the following year after interconnection studies revise timelines. A facility design is resized to align with phased power availability rather than demand forecasts. Capital is allocated in stages instead of upfront, waiting on energy certainty before full commitment. None of these changes trigger public announcements. Internally, however, they cascade. Teams revisit assumptions. Procurement timelines are reset. Commercial commitments are renegotiated. Energy availability is no longer a line item. It is a sequencing variable. Why this is happening now? Electricity demand is arriving faster and in more concentrated forms than corporate planning models anticipated. Data centers, electrified manufacturing, logistics hubs, and large campuses are adding load at scales that stress local infrastructure. At the same time, interconnection timelines and infrastructure upgrades are lengthening. The mismatch between business clocks and energy clocks is widening. As a result, organizations are discovering that even viable projects can stall, not because they lack funding or permits, but because energy timelines no longer align with commercial ones. From optimization to availability, this shift is subtle but important. In earlier cycles, energy planning focused on optimization, cost, sourcing, emissions, and efficiency. Today, availability often comes first. The internal question has changed from, how should we power this project, to, can this project be powered on the timeline required? When the answer is uncertain, timelines bend. What this means for executive decision-making. For executives, the implications are structural. Project governance is adapting. Energy assessments are being pulled forward. Capital approval processes are becoming more conditional. In some cases, projects are being sequenced around energy milestones rather than market demand. This is not a retreat from growth. It is an adjustment to execution reality. Organizations that recognize the shift early gain flexibility by redesigning timelines before commitments harden. Those that don't absorb the cost later through delays, rework, or lost momentum. Why this isn't temporary. The rewriting of corporate timelines is not a short-term response to weather or market volatility. It reflects a deeper change in how constrained systems behave under accelerating demand. As electricity becomes a binding input for growth, time, not technology, becomes the scarcest resource. Energy availability determines when projects move, not just whether they proceed. That is the quiet change reshaping corporate timelines now. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment and Energy Leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team.